I've got two new packages here to finish out the new brake system on my 260Z time attack car. Let's dig in and see what I got. First off is another set of wilwood calipers. These look exactly the same as the calipers I already run on the back end of this car. The same body of caliper that comes with the Technotoy Tuning big brake kit for the S30 chassis. Except for one big difference with these calipers. This caliper is one part number different than the big brake kit on the Technotoy Tuning kit. That means that the pistons that are inside this rear caliper are almost double the size as the pistons that you get in the T3 kit. This is important because of the weight balance of my car. My car is, even with a quarter tank of fuel, 51% rear heavy, and I've been balancing the brakes towards the rear to balance out the brakes for myself for a while now anyway. And given that we're gonna have some more powerful calipers on the front end of the car, I need to balance out the rear end of the car so I can utilize the brakes more evenly across its chassis. So we got a new caliper for the rear, bigger brake pistons, increasing that clamping force, increasing the brake bias in the rear. Brake pads. I got front and rear pads. Front pads are kind of heavy. Brake pads. The T3 big brake kits come with a BP20 pad. Right? That's great for occasional track days and a lot of road use and curvy mountain roads. Those are great. But for a race car, I need a little something extra. Currently I use BP30 pads. Those work really well. Their heat range is quite large, but I want to increase bite in initial response, and I want to reduce some brake fade when the brakes do get hot, so we're going to be moving to a BP40 pad front and rear. So I got new brake pads for that. These are not great for street use, but they're really good for like a dedicated track car. Something else I'm adding into the brake system after I had a good conversation with the wilwood engineers is residual pressure valves. These are 2 PSI residual pressure valves. Because I'm on a balance bar system, I have a master cylinder for the front and the rear brakes. They're completely manual. There's no booster in these brakes, right? And I've been dealing with a lot of pad knockback in this car for a couple of years. The engineers at wilwood said, hey, you really should utilize some 2 PSI residual pressure valves to help with the pad knockback, help with setting the pads back against your rotors and things like that after those long high-speed straights. So what this does is when you go to apply your brakes, you push pressure into the brake system and you let off that brake pedal, these valves will retain 2 PSI between this valve and the caliper. This needs to be installed in line to the caliper within about a foot of that caliper. So that's just 2 PSI. There are different ratings for PSI. You can get 2 pounds or 2 PSI, 5 PSI, 10 PSI, but that's for different applications, right? Say you got drum brakes or something else, right? The engineers at wilwood suggested for my car to use 2 PSI valves, so that's what we're gonna do. I found the easiest way to bleed these brakes is to contact the people at Speed Bleeder. What these do is these little deals here, these fittings replace the fittings that come on your caliper. These fittings have a check valve in them. So that way, whenever they're open, as you push on that brake pedal, you're gonna push fluid out past the check valve. And then once you release that pedal, the fluid pressure releases, the spring pushes the little ball valve back and closes the check valve, not allowing air to get back into the system. This little trick here would have saved me thousands of dollars in 2021, 2022. I was driving this car at Sonoma Raceways. I was there for like a 4-day weekend. I was there with 2 different groups for that weekend. I was with NASA on Saturday and Sunday that weekend, and just driving this car really hard. I was still trying to sort it out. I had the wrong weight springs, all sorts of stuff in it. Anyway, really getting used to the car that weekend. And towards the end of Saturday, beginning of Sunday of that weekend, my brakes started feeling really soft. I had a friend with me. We tried to bleed the brakes. We did not have speed bleeders in, and we couldn't quite get the brakes bled correctly, just the 2 of us. It was like I said, you need like 3 people to do it properly. And because I didn't get the brakes bled properly, Sunday I came around turn 7 at Sonoma. Brakes felt a little too soft. I should have let out of it, but I was making good lap time, and I wanted to see what the car would really do at the end of Sunday. And going into turn 8 and 8A, I hit the brakes. There was no brakes pedal went straight to the floor because I had cooked the fluid. I hadn't bled them properly to get all the air out and things like that and flush out the system. And when the pedal hit the floor, I looked down and I saw on my dash that I was doing 103 miles an hour going into turn 8A. I think 8A is the first one in the chicane. Anyway, 103 miles an hour, no brakes. Had to make a decision, right? Either you try to turn into turn 8. I've seen a lot of people do that before. If you're ever driving at Sonoma, you have brake issues, don't try to make that turn. Typically what happens is, the car over rotates, you try to overcorrect, you end up going off into the grass. Once you hit the grass, it's like kind of like this like slow downhill descent into a cement wall off on the left-hand side. I've seen a lot of people do it, bad juju. So I decided to keep the wheel straight, went up and over the hill, and skipping the turn 8A and 8 complex and just rejoined the track on the backside of that hill. Doing that, I blew off a good bit of my bodywork, which comes from Dubai. It's really expensive to get a hold of. Ended up ruining one strut, caused a little bit of damage, to the fender, the bodywork, and all this other stuff. And it ruined my weekend, right? I had to make a whole new splitter. It was expensive. It was an expensive fix. And if I had just had speed bleeders in, I could have bled my brakes properly. I wouldn't have cooked my fluid because I would have had fresh fluid in the system at that point. And I would have saved myself thousands of dollars in bodywork and replacement struts and all sorts of stuff just from that one mistake. So get some speed bleeders, put them on before you go out for a track day. Last but not least, low rubber caps. Thanks for joining my TED Talk. I've got to go pick up my daughter from daycare, so bye.